I was up in my office in our home where my office was. We were church planting in Monroe, Wisconsin. I was preparing for Easter services, and I was on the phone, and Angie came up and kind of whispered that she was going to go pick up our son from junior high school. And she also said she'd be taking with her our youngest daughter, Hannah. She was 11 months at the time, and Sam, who was 3. And so, like any other day, she was on her way. She took off, and I went back to my phone call.
I went downstairs to get Sam and said, "Sam, come on, it's time to go get Benjamin." And the little 3-year-old came around the corner from the basement and said, "I just want to stay here and watch my video." So I said, "Okay, Sam." I said, "You just stay right there, watch your video, and I'll be right back." So I went over to Caleb and Isaac, our other 2 sons, and I said, "I just told Dad that I have Sam and Hannah. I'm going to go get Benj, but I'm leaving Sam here. He's going to watch a video."
I was watching a movie on the couch, and I was watching the Popeye whatever. It was about a fire, and there was like a fire in the movie, and these firefighters were like putting it out. That's where I got the idea. I went in the workshop and grabbed like matches, and then I went back in their room and started, and then I couldn't get the matches to work, so then I went back in the workshop and grabbed the lighter. And then I came back and light the pillow on the couch on fire, and then I went back and put the lighter in the back where it was supposed to be. And then I got back and I couldn't see the TV, so I got mad because the flames were so big. So then I went in the workshop.
Well, it couldn't have been more than 2 or 3 minutes later. In the background, I heard what sounded like a smoke detector. And so, wasn't overly alarmed, but definitely something's going on. I was trying to end the call, and my son, who was 10 at the time, and my other son, who was roughly 7, came up and said, "Dad, there's smoke coming out of the basement." And so I quickly ended the call, ran downstairs, and sure enough, there was smoke coming out of the basement. Well, I was on the fire department in Monroe, also serving as a paid-on-call firefighter, and I wasn't overly alarmed, but I knew that this smoke had to be removed from the house, so I started opening up some doors and windows and just trying to kind of alleviate the smoke issue. And when I came back, the smoke had turned into dark black smoke, and it was rolling out of the basement like there was a flame downstairs. And I called 911, got the fire department in motion, and you could hear the police patrol cars on their way, and went outside to make sure the kids were certainly away from the house. This is where everything turned upside down. My 10-year-old son said that our 3-year-old son, Sam, did not go with Angie, but instead stayed downstairs in the basement to watch a video.
And I stayed there until my eyes started to hurt, so I just went upstairs. And I went in my room and hid under my bed, and then it was so dark in there I couldn't really see.
Now everything went from calm to panic. I ran back inside. Now there was flames coming out of the basement. The smoke was intense. The heat was intense, and I thought my son was in the basement. So I got on my stomach and started crawling down into the basement because I thought, because smoke, it flamed, if you're familiar with it, it makes all sorts of noises, and it can play games with your mind. And I thought that I heard Sam trying to get up the stairs. He was trying to make he was crawling and collapsing, and that's the sound I thought I heard. So I was crawling down into this abyss, if you would, and I could feel the heat, and the smoke was all around me, and I was sweeping my hand blindly, trying to grab his hand and hopefully bring him to rescue. And I was hit with a wave of heat that burned my face. I could feel my face burning, my hair was singeing, and I did the hardest thing that I could have done. I turned around and went back upstairs because I knew that if I hadn't done that, I would have died. But I felt like I was abandoning my son. I came outside, and about this time, it couldn't have been more than 5 minutes after the smoke detector went off. Angie was on her way back from picking up our son from junior high, and she was driving up the road and saw at this time there was flames coming out of the garage,
As we got closer, we realized that something was really major wrong. And so I thought right away in my mind, I can't block the driveway because the firemen are going to have to get in. So I went and parked in the neighbor's driveway, and so left my son and daughter in the car. I said, "You guys stay here, I'll be right back."
She came into the driveway, our neighbor's driveway. She's panicking, of course, and I knew that Sam was in the house, and of course she knew it because she had passed that on to the kids earlier before she left.
I ran to the house, and that's when Mike came out and met me and said, "Ange, Sam's in there and I can't get to him. He's still must be in the basement." And so we just started crying and running around the house trying to figure out a way that we could get to him.
We just started crying. I said, "Sam's in the basement and I can't get to him. There's flames coming from the garage, there's flames coming from the basement windows." We started running around the house just looking for a way to get to the basement, thinking that what are we going to do? You know, there's flames coming out of everywhere. And we ended up back in front by the front door.
And by this time, the chief of fire had gotten there, and so we're all standing out front of the house, and my cat is back to the house, and I'm looking toward the house.
All this is going on. It happened so quickly, and Angie and I are standing out in front of the house. We're just crying. My back is to the house, and Angie's looking towards the house, and our only consolation, if you can call it that, is that Sam would have died quickly, that he wouldn't have been burned, that the smoke inhalation would have taken his life, and that was what's going through my head at this time.
And the chief said, "If your son was in there, where do you think he would be?" And so I just looked over at the house, and I'm trying to figure out where he would be, and just then I saw Sam, and he just appeared out the doorway.
Angie just looks towards the front door and says, "Sam!" What? She said, "Sam!" And she turns around. I turn around, and here's Sam, sorry, standing right there in the front entryway.
And Mike saw him there, turned and ran and grabbed him out of the smoke that was billowing behind him. And then we just gathered together outside of the house, gathered all of our kids together, and just sat there and cried and prayed, and thank God that we had our son back.
Well, obviously, we're anxious to find out what happened because it was a miracle. You just don't walk out of a fire like that. And the heat was intense. The area where he walked out of was burned and charred, and it was intense when he came out. So definitely there's something that happened that we weren't aware of. And so we asked Sam, "How did you get out of their house?"
Mike asked him a question and said, "Sam, what happened when you were in the fire?" And he said, "It was Jesus."
Once the fire was started, he knew what had happened. He was scared, he was frightened, he knew he had done something wrong, so he hid in the basement. And the heat from the smoke and everything drove him upstairs, and he somehow slipped past me and the other kids and was now up in his upstairs. We have a two-story house. He was upstairs in our room, in his room actually, underneath the bed, hiding because he knew he had done something wrong. And we asked him, "How long did you stay there, Sam?" And he said, "Well, I stayed there until it got so black and dark and that I couldn't see anything." And he says, "I couldn't find the stairs, and the stairs are only 4 feet from his bedroom." And so I said, "Well, Sam, how did you find the stairs? How did you get out of the house?" And he said, "Well, Dad, it was Jesus." And we're like, "Whoa, so what happened? He says, "Well, he grabbed me, Dad, and he carried me down the stairs." And I said, "Well, how long did he carry you?" He says, "He carried me until you grabbed me, Dad, and then he let go."